In this video, we will demonstrate the steps required to set up and configure database as a service using DBCA templates. The primary use case for this feature is to provision vanilla databases optionally with seed data. First step is to create the PaaS infrastructure zone. To do this, go to Enterprise, Cloud, Middleware and Database Home. A PaaS infrastructure zone is an organizational entity which can be used to represent either geography, for example East Coast or West Coast, product lifecycle, for example development stage or production, and finally function, for example e-business product team or Siebel applications team. To create a PaaS infrastructure zone, or PaaS zone for short, EM Cloud Administration role is needed. Click on the number against the PaaS infrastructure zones label. This page lists all the zones that have been created in the system. Let's look at an existing zone. Select the zone and click Edit. The zone comprises of a meaningful name and description, as this will be visible to the consumer of the self-service portal. Next, we specify placement policy constraints, which is a maximum ceiling that can be set against every host or node that is member of this zone. The two constraints supported are maximum CPU utilization and the maximum memory allocation. As requests come in, databases will not be placed on hosts that exceed these placement constraints. Next, we actually add the list of hosts that would participate in this zone. To do this, simply click on the Add button, review the list of targets found, and add as appropriate. Also provide a credential that will function across all the hosts. You can use the test credential button to verify your credentials. Visibility to this zone can be restricted to certain class of users. This is achieved via Enterprise Manager roles. Finally, review the summary and click Submit. The rest of the steps are to be performed by a user who has the role EMSSA administrator assigned to him or her. To do this, we will log in as a separate user. We are now logged in as the DBAS administrator. This role is typically played by a DBA. To perform the remaining steps, go to Setup, Cloud, Database. This page shows the remaining steps that are required to complete the setup for database as a service using DBCA templates. First up is the creation of a database pool. A database pool is a collection of servers or nodes that have the Oracle software pre-provisioned. Let's look at an existing pool. Pool creation is a single page wizard. It contains a meaningful name and description and a list of Oracle homes that would participate in the pool. For provisioning consistency, it is expected that all members of a pool are homogeneous in nature. Homogeneity is controlled by certain target filters. These filters are database configuration, which is either a single instance or rack, the platform, and the version of the Oracle software. Pools are created on a subset of hosts that are part of a zone. We additionally provide the credentials to the host, which are the credentials to the Oracle home, and root for certain privileged operations. Click Submit to complete the wizard. Next up is the request settings. There are three kinds of request settings that are supported. Future reservation, which is how far in advance a user can make a request. Request archive retention, which is the duration for which requests are stored in the system. And last, request duration, which is the duration for which requests can be made. Next up, we set quotas. Each self-service user has a quota assigned. This helps in limiting the amount of resources they have access to. Let's look at an existing quota. Quotas are assigned to a class of users. We leverage Enterprise Manager roles for this. The quota attributes that are supported are memory, storage, number of database requests, and the number of schema requests. Next, we look at profiles and service templates. Service templates are service definitions or database configurations that are exposed to self-service users. In this feature, since we wish to provision databases using DBCA templates, we need to first capture a template that we like. To do this, we make use of profiles. Profile is a mechanism to capture interesting information from source databases. To create a profile, click on the Create button. Select a source or reference database. Choose the option to capture a database template. Provide the credentials to the database home and the credentials to the database itself. Another thing to note is you can either capture a DBCA template with data, or you can just capture structure only, that is with no seed data. Click Next. Provide a meaningful name and location for this profile to be stored in the EM software library. Click Next. Review the summary and click Submit. On clicking Submit, Enterprise Manager would connect to the database and generate a DBCA template. This template would then be stored in the EM software library and will be available for use for creation of service templates. For this demo, we will use an existing profile. For rest of the demo, we'll make use of the profile called DBCA Provisioning Profile for Reference Database. Now, let's create a service template. To create a service template, click on Create and choose the type for database. In this case, we'll look at an existing service template. Provide a meaningful name and description for the service template. These templates would be exposed to the self-service user, and hence it is important to describe the contents of the service template. Select the profile that you intend to use. In this case, we will use the DBCA profile. Describe the type of database you wish to create, which is either single instance or rack. In case of rack, you can also define the number of nodes. Provide a prefix for the SID and also the domain name to use. Provide the listener port. Next, we select the storage type. whether to configure the fast recovery area. If fast recovery area is configured, then the user is allowed to take backups and restore their provisioned databases. Provide the administrative credentials for sys, system, and DBSNMP. Specify the init parameters. For example, you can define the various sizes of databases by setting the appropriate memory and CPU settings. Next, you can define custom scripts for pre and post database creation. Next, we define the combination of zones and pools against which this service template can be executed successfully. Numerous combinations of zones and pools can be added here. Finally, the availability of this service template can be restricted to certain class of users. This is again done using Enterprise Manager roles. Review the summary and click Submit. The final step to complete our setup is to configure chargeback. This is covered in a separate video. This concludes our setup for database as a service using DBCA templates. Thank you.